Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parampara. Sakana Vabdu, Sakana Punaktu, Sakaviryam Karabhavakai, Tejasvina Vadita Mustumavat Vishavake. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena Chittasya Patena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Vaityagena Yopakarutmam Prabaram Munina Patanjali Pranjalim Janatosmi. Very good morning to you. So we are in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the most important one, the second one. Let's just read this one now again. Atha Yoganusashanam Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So we have seen this, we are seeing the second one. We saw the first one before. So we'll have a very quick recap of the last session. I also got a couple of very good feedbacks, so I would inject those feedbacks appropriately. And the one is about the intensity of this. Somebody said that it's interesting, but quite intense. Well, that's what not what I meant to do, but it's inevitable because we can very easily see the literal meaning of it and pass through very quickly. Or we can take effort to understand to the level that is necessary to gravitate further. It's like, as the example I gave you, if you want to go for Mount Everest base camp trekking or Kailash trip, these tour guide will give you an aerial view of videos, yeah? They will show you what are the paths to pass through and what are the hardships you may have to endure and what's the beauty there. That's what we are doing. So the first 2-3 sutras are so important. We dwell deeper into this, and actually it is not difficult. It is just common sense, but there are certain special terms being used, and there is no need to remember these words, or we are not going to write an exam on this or anything. So that therefore, don't feel the intensity of the sessions to put you off if it is so. But if you really take interest and look at it, it'll be very beautiful. And one way I would say, we are lucky that we have recording of this. So I would say, for example, if Friday, if you listen to it and then maybe Saturday, listen again without the video. No, not necessarily this one, even any other, there are so many Mahatmas talk about it, write about it. Like just now we learned in Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasam makes it easier. So the hardship will go away. So don't worry about it. So just bear with me. So we can do. So yogascha chitta vritti. Chittasya vritti is chitta vritti. So we saw this in the last class. So let's just recap quickly. Hopefully today we finish this one so that we can take to the next one. Once we finish 2 and 3, then 4 onwards to the rest of the sutras in the first pada. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is quicker. So we may do more than 1-2 sutras a day. So let's see. So yoga is, we first saw, sadhyam. That's the first thing we saw. So we eliminated that yoga could be used as a sadhanam, as a chalanam, as a sadhyam. And to understand Patanjali's mind, by the way, I just follow what the Vyasa Bhashyam and the Sadashiva Brahmendra and related teaching. So there are so many different interpretations. So I would do what little I know. So in that context, the This sutra is a very important sutra to understand. Here it is in the Nirdesha Sutra, Lakshya Sutra. It gives you what's the purpose and defined, therefore, yoga as a sadhyam. So by doing yoga, you attain the yoga, the purpose. What is that purpose? Chitta vritti nirodha. Again, that is not very clear to us. Therefore, we take the next step of what is chitta and what is vritti. So this we discussed in the last class. If you remember, chittam here defines the antakarana. Antakarana. Anta means inside, internal organs, subtle organs, which we saw in the Tattvabodha as the elements of Sukshma Sarira. There is nothing right, nothing wrong, because no science has defined mind. So there is no scientific evidence to show what is mind. Therefore, the available knowledge, the best knowledge available from was Sanatana Dharma. And therefore, their teaching is, like Sankhyas did, to segment this conceptual energy called mind or chittam, not in the physical aspect of biological biopsies like they do, because we are trying to find evidence of thought and mind in the brain. And the way, see, the confirmation bias is a very, very prevalent thing in psychology, in human life as well. When you love a green sari, you wear a green sari, if you're a lady, or if you have a green car, whatever, suddenly you will see many people wearing the same thing. Don't you notice it? It is not that they are also wearing the same thing, but when the attachment is there in the mind, it looks for evidence for the attachment. The mind looks for the evidence. It's called a confirmation bias in psychology. Suddenly you'll think, oh, I wore it, she wore it. Oh, I see every day, everywhere it's in green. Because mind is looking for evidence to believe in what it believes, what it holds. And it is not a bad thing. See, the thing is, we have to deal with the mind and use the mind to understand the mind. So that's what we're trying to do. Therefore, it is very subtle science. What the biochemistry, medical, neuroscience do, they take the confirmation by the evidence, they take it as the root of the study. An example would help you. So they put the EEG, put these electrodes, and they measure the sensations in the cells, in the neurons, and look for positive electrical signals, or look for a protein peak or whatever. They find a trigger. And if you're smiling and if the part of this brain is lightening up, and they find a locus for it. Therefore, this nerve cells, this mutation, this modulation, this model in the brain, what they are assuming is that signal creates a smile. You see, they are putting the effect into the cause. Since they are so tightly correlated, it is working for some time. So therefore, when the heart pumps and the lungs pump, respiration happens. The ventilator makes you the lungs to pump. But can you make a dead heart, dead lung to pump and then the person to be alive? Can you create stimuli in the brain to light up those things, which you can do by electrical signals? Can the person become happy? Impossible. So we can use it for the physical plane to heal, to cure, to develop the knowledge, but that is not the final conclusion. That's not a siddhanta. So therefore, what I'm saying is that therefore the scientists of Sanatana Dharma, the rishis, therefore took the liberty to divide this subtle energy form of chittam into antakarana, manas, buddhi, Chittam and Ahankar. We saw this. This we saw last class. I'm just recapping it. So therefore, don't look for a buddhi in the brain and manas somewhere for physical evidence. But then we also said, no, because our brain is so limited, our capacity to comprehend is limited. Therefore, we need some aid. The aid that the Sanatana Dharma Darshanam, particularly in Yoga Darshanam, gives you is visualization. Yeah, I agree with you. You need to have a Saguna Brahman, you need a location, you need a form, you need a shape, you need some gross nature to hold on to. Therefore, buddhi is in the forehead. Maybe you can think of the upper cortex of your kapalam in your brain. Ahankaram is in your back of it. Mind you, this is all said so that you can bring focus to it. Yeah. The manas is all over the body. Recently, I read a paper, I think in November something, I think UCL. This talks about how the control of the brain to this cell. The body is distributed with so many decision point, information points, which captures, if for the youngsters within the team who have been doing computer science, it's called something called interrupt-driven programming. So when you, for example, Apple phone, you have your phone, touch phone, you touch it, something happens. So this software is sitting there looking for anybody touching any part of this embodiment. And any touch is called an interrupt. So everything in the computer, the screen has no intelligence. Everything is in the central processing unit. So therefore, the human mind thought, therefore, everything that we do is in the brain. Today, 99.9% we say, yeah, brain is everything. Everything happening in the brain. But in yoga, it's not like that. Manas is all over the place. So when a fingertip senses something and it reacts, the decision-making responsibility may be in the tip of the finger. The brain captures it later, produces a back-end support, secondary support, logs it. We don't know. So this memory is there everywhere. Every cell has got a memory. That's why genetics is all about memory. They can take a stem cell, they can take a small cell and then they produce something else. How does it produce it? Anything should have a processing power. This has no brain. But if it produces what is genetically what is mapped before. Therefore, it has a memory there. So the Antakarana is not in one place, it is there everywhere. You see the beauty of it. So therefore, it is very difficult to divide, but we make this for the purpose of learning. And then the Chittam, we learned, the low key for that is the Hridayam, heart. The reason we put that location because as you move more and more into the mental plane, we are moving away from the gross physical nature to the subtle emotional nature, psychic nature. Everything is psychic. Try to eat a food when you are completely angry, rage, and full of tragic feelings in your mind. Food doesn't taste. Taste is after all physical, is it not? No. So the emotional part is important. The Hridayam is the place where we see it is there. And because to deviate our gross approach to life, it says not the physical heart, because we also have this physical heart as a heart. We are not talking about the physical thing here. Therefore, the location is put into the right side of your heart. Some say, tantric say, the middle of it, in when at this the rib cage meets in the center. You can choose whatever you want. That is where the chittam is located. So we saw that. And then we saw this energy, when it produces all the thoughts, thoughts create emotions, emotions create feelings, action creates results, results creates life. Therefore, the whole vicious circle is coming from this chitta bhumi. We're going to talk about the word called bhumi in yoga. Bhumi is a ground. Chitta has got the ground. The whole thing is sarva bhumi. Now, this energy form is made up of gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamo gunas. Again, we saw that there's not something is good, something is bad. No, everything is important. And also, we don't label anybody that he's a sattvic person, therefore a bad person is a tamasic person. No, that's wrong. This is purely, again, given to comprehend the truth. As we understand it, we drop the tool. We don't carry the tool once you get the results. Like, like when you look at the computers and you have different colors in the computers. But how does all the colors are produced and managed in the software and the hardware? By 3 different parametric of electrical energy. One for red, one for green, one for blue. So it's called RGB. A computer monitor is called RGB monitor. So if they combine red, green, and blue into different hues, you get so many colors just on this 3. So therefore, you don't look at the R screen or G screen, you look at the color screen. Same way, the life is full of different colors of made out of these 3 colors of gunas, sattva, rajas, and tama. That's it. So we don't need to really go beyond that. But what then we understood was, unlike the colors have a commonality, here we give a gradation. The sattva denotes the illumination or the knowledge, to know. Every time you want to know something, you are in a sattva guna. Of course, knowing something good. You will see as we progress more and more and more, the definition of sattva guna will change. We will learn it in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 13 and 14. But here I can give you a very small hint. When you start thinking about objects, it is sattva guna because you are learning about it. But it will erode completely when the objects become a bhoga and an action becomes rajas because you want to get this object. The sattva's intensity comes down. But if you turn that focus to know about yourself internally, the illumination, when it's all about, let's say, intuitive knowledge, the knowledge is more towards intuition, then it becomes more and more sattva. Therefore, the prakya khyati means jnanam. So prakya, the illumination, is knowing anything is sattva guna. We need it. But when you want to refine the sattva guna, you started knowing about yourself. I make the statement. This is about sattva thought is a thought about thinking. When you think about what you think, you are in sattva. You will learn later how to achieve this one. So I give a clue. Every time when you think, you can also have an awareness inside to see what you're thinking. In other words, have an observer in you to see what the thought comes in. That will lead into observing your mind observation for knowledge, knowing your mind, that will turn into sattva. So we are going to learn this in detail with Patanjali later. So we saw prakya is one state. This leads to pravritti, action. So vritti here is denoting the endeavors and action. This is rajasic in nature. And sthiti is both stability and stagnation. Stability, because you need stability, that is tamas, like sleep, good rest. Stagnation is inaction, slumber, delusion. But unfortunately, these are in the picture, it is all well layered. When it is layered well, you can manage it well. But it is not so, because in real life, they mutate and confused. How do we know this? When you are listening something good, your mind is on this good thought. Suddenly a bleep comes on a phone, an SMS about some joke, and joke leads to something else. So if you think an apple, then you think of an apple, then you think of a mango, then you think of your garden, the garden in the town that you lived. See, it's called the hyperconnections. Vrittis are waiting to hook. In fact, the whole software industry and the memory design industry works on the same model. Related memory. So how you store information is related memory. So your mind, once your vritti comes in, you let go, it will start entwining with related vrittis. Children used to play a game, right? I used to remember playing the game. You each one say the word and everybody sit around, you say the words, and then you say a corresponding word to it. And then you keep on going, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then you stop. Then you trace back the words that you said. So this is how the vritti's relationship works. So therefore, we are presented to us a mind full of spaghetti of thoughts, and we need a way to layer them, structure them, control them. Okay. So now we need to understand what is the status of this mind when this kind of vritti comes in, illumination and endeavors and stagnation. So in yoga parlance, they are called bhumis. Vyasa Bhashyam really clearly defines this and very well defines this. There are so many ways this can be interpreted, but I'm going to give you the way that I like it so that it is quite easy to apply. Because all this knowledge, if it is not conducive to application, they are futile. So let's see it. So this is the vrittis. So they are continuously happening. So if you put there's no EEG-like machine to map the thoughts. We do not know. We only know the post signals in the neurons. So everything happens. This is this combination of sattva, raja, guna, tamo, guna, vrittis. When it is a state of endeavor, it is not in it. I think most of the time it is there, especially for the youngsters, even older people, when they are very rajoguna centric. The mind is scattered, agitated. You want to do that. You want to do this. It's funny because we never live for the moment. Have you ever noticed that? That's why, we don't feel happiness even when everything is that to make you happy, because we are not living at the moment of happiness. As somebody said very nicely, you are a 90-second delayed in life. You take a bath, you go to the bathroom, newly built beautiful bathroom, sauna there, everything is there. And when you're showering it, the warm water comes in, but you're thinking about take the breakfast, go to office, finish the job, meet that person, You're not enjoying the bath. You come back, sit down for the breakfast. A wonderful breakfast is served. Mind is on the car, drive, traffic, which way to go. Even nowadays, the cars come with a kind of a mapping technology. At home, you press the button, I want to go there. It electronically transmitted to a car get programmed. Car even not even started. Tesla got this feature, so it's got everything there. Once you start, you say, "Good morning, boss. I'm ready to go." See, ship them. It's called to scatter, disturbed, agitated. You need this because you need action. You're a man of action. People say you are lazy when you're eating it, very enjoying the food. Even the parents will say, "Don't keep on eating all the time. Get off." So we never let from the young children from a young age to live. We educate them to lead towards a life which is far away. We never let them live the moment of life. So Kshiptam is become a natural tendency. The Bhumi, Kshipta Bhumi, is where our mind is sitting, and it is Rajasic based dominance. So if I ask you to raise your hand, whose mind is Kshipta, I will raise first. Most of the time it is Kshipta state. Don't we need this? Yes, you need it. But if it is scattered, you cannot do things. See, even though I say the computer does many things, there's a supercomputers there. IBM got a supercomputer. It can do many computation, weather computation, billion computation in a second. But if you go in heart and heart and heart of heart, it can do only one thing at a time. There'll be multiple processors. If you put multiple processing, multiple CPUs, can they not do multiple things simultaneously? If you have multiple CPU, you need your master CPU to control the clock. They're synchronized. Again, you come back to one thing at a time. Somehow because we don't grossify this, we don't understand the subtle nature of time, because what is the nature of time? That will be a different lecture, but time is thought. Is it not? When you read a book, a very interesting book you're reading, and you forgot to cook, time has just flown away. What happened to the time? Or you sit in a class which is boring, every second is like an hour. It's not a feeling, it is a fact. Thought is mind. The thought is a time. But Kshipta state is a scattered state of mind. Therefore, can I sit down and then understand, lay down, unclutter my mind? Yes, you need to do it because you are the one needing this most. You can start there, but you will not attain the sadhyam. Therefore, what do I have to do? I have to, there's a word called unscattering it, reduce the scatter. So I need to do some sort of nirodham in this. So this bhumi is not a conducive bhumi for me to be in yoga. So you don't go to dhyanam, you don't go to the Swami or wherever to sit on meditation when you are in this kshipta mode. People think, oh, my mind is restless, I'm going to do yoga. No, you're wasting your time. Go and do something else to bring the mind down to a different bhumi to do the yoga. So that's what I'm going to learn. There is another bhumi called mudha. Mudha or moha. Stupefied, stunned, dull. You can very easily say, I sleep, slumber. There is a natural need to be in the state when your body and mind has to take a rest. So there's a nidra vritti, we're going to see it. But you can be also in a mudha state. Even now I can be in mudha state. Whatever is being told just goes over the head because I'm not in this state of mind. Or I had too much breakfast. That's why, you see, Bhagavan spends, you have to really be, Arjuna has to be, do Koti Namaskaram to Krishna, because which teacher on one hand tell you the most supreme knowledge and also eat what to eat for breakfast? What a change. This is the PhD, for the postdoctoral research program. This is feeding a child. Bhagavan says to Arjuna, eat this food, eat this food. That compassion comes because mind is, after all, creates his body. Your body comes from the mind. Therefore, they are interrelated. Therefore, if certain food can make you muda, you should avoid it. But this muda state is dull state, confused state. Therefore, I cannot have yoga there. Well, if I am intoxicated, I'm dull, I have no pain. They give anesthetics. When you have painful operation, they make you muda. But is it bliss for you? Is it happiness for you? If it's happiness, then you can forever be in a coma. Not understanding this is why even many sadhus, the so-called sadhus, if you go to they take this kind of drugs, and then they try to be in the state of muda. No. So this is again tamasic in nature, necessary to have, but that dominance is not something which we can aspire for. So now you can see, we know what is chitta vritti, and we need to find a way to layer them up. And therefore, we look at the ground, on which ground I'm standing. If I am on a kshipta bhumi, Rajas dominated mindset, I'm not there yet. Therefore, I need to alter my mindset. If I do tamas dominance, it's not a good idea. But then you'll say, look, yes, everybody sleeps, but when they get up in the morning, have a nice shower, moderate breakfast, do a little jog, all ready to go. So I'm controlled. So therefore, we come to the place called Vikshipta. This is where you have Rajas and Tamas still exist, because you need to go to office, you need to do things, you need to sit down for a while. When somebody is talking, you just don't interfere. But you also think that I have to be on control. Sattva comes in. Sattva is showing its presence, not dominant yet. It's coming up there. Rajas and Tamas is pulling it. I think most of us, at least I would say those who are aspiring to be in this kind of lectures and classes, or even to have a very disciplined life, they are trying to be calmer, yet doing a lot of activity, yet having good food, good sleep. They are in Vikshipta state. But then why it is called distracted? So distraction means what? When I say, when you tell somebody, don't distract me, what would be their response to you? What are you doing? In which you are attracted? Where is attraction for you? Therefore, distraction, the word distraction automatically imply there is attraction in which you are going, and something else is distracting you. Now, if I say that the attraction is towards sattva rising moments, but you are still being distracted, then your bhumi is called vikshipta. You see, quite easy to understand. The words are not very important. If you just follow, therefore, I have in my biorhythm, for example, you can think about yourself now, appraise yourself. What is your state of mind? What bhumi are you in? Are you in kshipta mode or muda or vikshipta? And the very reason you are listening to this, you are hearing this, and you're still controlling, not touching the phone, controlling your dozing off your eyes, You are being distracted, but you are looking for the sattva raising moments. So we can say, yes, this is where I am. I am there on the left side as well, but I would be here. Even this, Patanjali and Vyasa don't agree to the right start for yoga, but you can take an interpretation in some way that this is maybe the right place to start the yoga. Otherwise, 99.9 of us will just gone. We won't be there. So we are qualified to be starting the yoga. But what do we have to do? The sattva rising moments have to be amplified. The distraction has to be subsidized. One example that Vyasa gives you is very, very simple but very striking. So what? I mean, Rajas and Tamas, let it come. As long as I have sattva, that will be fine, isn't it? Why should I control my Rajas and Tamas? So he gives you think Rajas is passion. It's like a fire. And say sattva is a seed, right? So imagine you have a seed in your hand, and suddenly there's a fire, the seed drops into the fire. A couple of seconds. But you go and pick up the seeds back again. So you recovered the seeds. Sattva has been recovered. But can a boiled, roasted, heated, burnt seed germinate again? It won't. Yes, it is sattva. This is very important to understand, because many of us sometimes psych ourselves. See, we had to be self-critical in life to improve. The beautiful statues that we worship and adore has taken a lot of beating. The sculptor will be sitting on it with both his feet on top of this stone and carve it. Hit all the time to bring out the statue, which we all worship, has gone through a lot of beating. So we had to beat ourselves, because we sometimes think, look, I think about myself and I'm not doing any sin. I'm not lying. I'm not cheating anybody. I have minor vices, okay? Occasionally I do this, enjoy life like this. I listen to this Sutra and slogans, and we try to bring our benchmark. I'm happy with this life. I'm fine. Why are you fine? Why do you want to have a roasted seed in your hand and say that it will germinate? You're better than many people who are spoiled themselves, but why you have to bring the ceiling down to that lowest denominator to evolution? No. So the way Vedanta and Upanishad and Patanjali's Darshana is lifting you up. No. Liberation, forget liberation. There are some youngsters now in the team, they're listening to this and they have so much life ahead of them. Why should they worry about moksha and liberation? It sounds very retirement goals. No, forget liberation. To live to a full potential. Your potential is, what is success in life is that you can glow in all your potential. We don't. Less than 0.1% of your potential is there in anything we do. So the potential to be reality and an applicable strength for you, wherever you need control. Control is very important. Again, this control is not something you exercise on the object. I don't know whether some of you in the UK at least would have watched this program in Channel 5, Dogs Behaving Badly. If you don't watch it, watch it. It's an interesting program. I know there's a sitcom called Men Behaving Badly. So they have a pun and having a similar thing, dogs behaving in bracket very badly. So in that program, it's a real life program. There is a great expert of dog training. So you can apply to the channel 5 and they will select you if you have a similar problem, where you have your pet dog or dogs some people have, and it is beyond control. They took over their life and they're running around possessive, and they don't let them go out of the house, and the life has been completely wrecked for them. So this guy comes in and he observes, and then he gives them cues, and abhyasa happens, and then things come to normal. In some cases, it's in a fraction of minutes it happens. But I've been watching this. It's a very interesting program, and how the dog's behavior change. Of course, the effect is on the dog's behavior change, but the instructor, he's observing the dog, but more than that, he observed the dog owners. So all the training that he imparts are not for the dogs, for the dog owners. He tells them how to stand, the posture, the way you stand in front of the dog makes a difference. The way you say sit, the way that the tonal intensity, your posture, when you hold this lead, and then the way that you hold the lead, when you walk, whether it is walking in front of it, we have pets to give us company, but if you look at, I've seen in the park, and people are running behind the dog because dog is leading them. So he is actually telling the dog owners changes in the behavior, and when they change the behavior, no time the dogs behave. So I thought it's a great insight. The dog is the mind. So we're going to see this one. You're not going to really do something to the mind to bring the mind to that. It's your mind. You are not the mind. It is your mind. Therefore, there are certain things that you can do. So this we learn, but so here the vikshipta mind, therefore, there is no need to bring down the ceiling so that you can say that I reached my ceiling. No, ceiling, it will be there. Your sattva rising moments have to be sattva reigning moments, sattva ruling moments. Therefore, we need to have another bhumi called ekagra. Ekam is one. Agre means in front. Ekagra means one in front. Here, front is maybe a physical front to start with. It is what is the highest priority. So when your mind is in a bhumi where the one and only one that you want is focused. Some of us will be able to do it. Many of us can do it a very small moment of the time. But the winners always do it. When Usain Bolt was interviewed, he was saying, when he's sitting down, kneeling down for the 100-meter dash, he says that I kneel down, the count starts, I'm running. I'm focusing on my feet. I'm running around this thing. The intensity of the run, the pace, speed, everything is in his mind. Nothing else he hears. Then he hears this gunshot again. He moves. So he has already run that. He says he can. I mean, he must be like an Arjuna of the story. I mean, it's great. So you are able to apply that for that moment. If he can do it, I can do it. You can do it. But I have Kshipta mind. I have so many things to do. Yes, in everything you can win, but one at a time. So that focusing called ekagra. That can only happen when sattva is dominant. So therefore you can see we have to move from vikshipta to ekagra. And beyond that, I can go. Your mind may think, okay, if I have to just be not having any scattered thought, muda thought, vikshiptam start, how about my sleep? I'm sleeping there. Ekagram. My ekagram is nothing, and nothing is there in my mind. That is not right. So I just simply quote the Sutra 119, Padam 1, 19th Sutra. We will see it later. There it says, Bhava Pratyayo Videha Layanam. We will see in a very different way when we go to that one in detail, because we are not ready there to understand. But here I can bring up to show why Nidra Vritti and sleep is not Ekagram. Sleep, you don't have a scattered mind, Chitta mind, Vikshipta mind. Can it be Ekagram? It's not. Because Bhava here means ignorance. Bhava Pratyayo. It's a very technical term. We are going to learn this term. Pratyayo means the basis. Bhava Pratyayo means basing ignorance as the object. So if you have the ignorant as an object or nothingness as an object, and if you meditate on it, who you, Prakriti Layana. Prakriti Layana means one who is in this world. Videha means one who has no body, maybe the gods. Or I take for the sleeping point of view, you are Videham, your body is gone from your consciousness. So that is doing enough ignorance. So we will see the importance of the sutra when it is in the right context, because you need to have a few more words to understand before that. But here I am trying to bring that thing to say, if the thought comes to your mind that if I am sleeping, is it not Ekagram? It is not, because it is Bhava Pratyayam. It is based on the ignorance. So we ignore that. So here we talk about in the Jagrata state, in any object of contemplation, be it the 100-meter running, or be it is getting that stitching you are doing, or embroidery you are doing, or the cooking you do, or the job that you want to get. The motive can be anything. But to get the Ekagram, you need a Sattva dominance. But I will tell you I admit one secret, one trick that yoga employs, even Vedanta also employs. It is like, in a way, it's kind of a fooling you for a while. You know, when the mother is carrying the child, okay, mother goes to the park and carries the child, and he is eating well and he's growing. And poor mother is tired of carrying the boy, ask him to hold his hand and walk. And this little child, little rascal, is so indulged and he needs to be carried all the time. So he'll cry. After 2 steps, he'll cry. Mom will say, no, 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 see, the house is only here. 10 steps, count 10 steps. 1, 2, 3, 10. Oh, it's gone. House is gone. Count again. So she will drag him, this white lie, to make him walk, get good exercise. Same way, I think yoga will show you. Just the next step, you'll get liberation. Next step, you'll get liberation. So it will just take you. That's the reason why once you get into this, it's not going to leave you. Yoga Anushasanam. Anu. Understand the Anu? Continuous. Because your ceiling is, you're not going to bring down the target. You're going to rise above and above and above and above. Therefore, the Ekagram here, for the Laukika or the worldly objectives, I can achieve anything by focusing on what I want to achieve. That is, in a way, it's a Ekagram state. But the yoga's parlance, that what you are aiming for has to be also Sattvam. So Sattvam is, therefore, getting a job is not Sattvam. Well, I am getting the job and get the money and help others. Yeah, you do some Punya Karyam. So we go back to the definition I said about sattva here. Sattva is about thinking the self, thinking about the origin of thought. So therefore here in Patanjali's mind, Ekagra Bhumi is the Bhumi in which you are attaining the single pointed focus on the object of contemplation. That object of contemplation is yourself. But I'm just letting you, like the mother giving you early steps in the example I gave you. You can get the Ekagra capacity even on your Laukika stuff, getting focused. Because once you get the ability to get your mind focused, then the object of contemplation can change by sadgunas. That's the reason why Arjuna is a great disciple. You know, when Drona says, aim at this, bird on the tree. You know, the people normally ask the question, dharma is dharma, full of dharma. Why he is not chosen by Krishna to teach him that? He already knows dharma. He is far more knowledgeable than Arjuna about Vedas and Shastras. So is Sakadeva. Why he is not chosen? It is not the knowledge that you have that matters. It is not your goodness that you have that matters. It is your frame of mind, the ability to apply the mind to the target of application. What Arjuna did when to look at the bird, and he was the only one. Of course, Ekalavya did in a different way, aiming at it. So he was frolicsome guy. He was handsome prince, king. He had many wives. Fun was his game, of course, in a righteous way. But yet he was capable of controlling the mind. Kutakesa. He can control the sleep. Kutakesa. Dhananjaya. Here this issue is the arrow is the mind. He's able to aim it at anything he wants to. So therefore, once he got that one in the Kurukshetra, I said, okay, fine, I'll show you now where the mind should be. Your Ekagram should be towards yourself. In chapter 2, verse 12 to 25, he has given you the sattva object to Arjuna. Of course, then he beats around the bush, how to eat, how to conduct himself, abhyasa. Right now we learned about the abhyasa yoga yuktena, chedasa nanakena. We just now read it. So, what is the next one? So, if the Ekagra, just check the time, it becomes Niruddha. I'm going to take a few more minutes to close it today. Niruddha is abided, where even that there's nothing to focus on. Mind is, this is like, pure white. Can you remember what we discussed? Pure white, chitta sattva. The projector on, no filtering there, no film running, no vasanas. Absolute Niruddha. So yoga in his wife start from sattva to, this is what he says. Now, fine, these 5 bhumis are there. Yoga must start somewhere. Go towards that. So Ekagram is important. Niruddha is important. Therefore, what do I get? So let us assume that when you achieve the Ekagra state, you get, I call it S1 right now. Something I get. When I go to Niruddha, I get something else. I call it S2. So if I train my mind, if I do yoga in the way that Patanjali is saying, and if I pass through each bhumis, I'm in Ekagra bhumi, sattva dominance, I attain S1, don't know what is S1 is. I move on, I attain S2. But I need to understand what this is all. So you go back to now the first sutra. The sadhyam is now S1 and S2. Chitta vritti, we know it is making the mind into state of abidance. That is taking the chitta bhumi to move towards ekagram and niruddha. So this act of making it is a regulation, nirodha. What is niruddha? Nirodha means, a literal meaning is also destroy. Now there is a phrase called manonasham in Vedanta. So there are many schools say manonasham means destroy the mind, mindlessness. How can you be mindlessness? It's impossible. You cannot be without a mind. Mind is a definition, is chitta vritti. Therefore, you cannot have a mind that is completely destroyed. Manaso yukdayo nasho, mano nasho, mahodaya. In Yoga Vasishtam, Rama is asked the question. For that, Vasishta says, manonasam is what? Reducing or removing the spread of the mind. It means the vritti is to be controlled. Is it suppressing the mind? Sometimes we think, no, all the thoughts coming. I'm trying to meditate. I'm trying to suppress my thoughts. You can never suppress the thought. You suppress. If you imagine a spring, you keep suppressing it. You put all your energy suppressing it, and the opposite reactive force is coiling into this. Recoiled energy is building up, and it's going to explode, throw you away. You cannot suppress the mind. For anything, anybody says, look, mind control, mind suppression, something control, they say, mind control. Suppression is removing these thoughts. Control is every time a thought comes in, you just somehow control it, not to come in. That is futile because thoughts are not by you. Thoughts are by your samskaras and vasanas. So all this effort gives you failures. And somebody say, look at this light, keep looking at the light and you will see this light will come into your mind and when you get burnt, your optical nerves may get destroyed. And then it leaves a residue in your mind. The brain just hallucinate a patch of shadow in your brain and you think you got effulgence. And now all these are very austeric way of doing this. So it has to be a regulation of it. Therefore, not control, not dissolution, but regulation, streamlining it. So therefore, the meaning we can say, yoga is the regulation of the modification of the mind field. But we are still not convinced because we need two questions. How do we nurture this sattvic thoughts to overwhelm the other thoughts? What is the method? Well, we are going to learn that. That's why we come to Patanjali Yoga. So that how question is going to be answered from Sutra 4 onwards. Okay, but what is this? I understand, but what is this S1, S2? So I'm going to take 5 to 10 minutes, so I'll want to close this one today. So this I call it, I don't call it, Patanjali calls it, most especially Vyasabhashyam says it as Samadhi. Please do not think Samadhi means you are dead and somebody is burying you inside. No, that's not it. Samadhi is Samadhanam. At a time, at a position where you are at equilibrium. Your mind is absorption based, absolute state of consciousness, the state of being. So the Samadhi is what we are going to attain. I'm not very perfect in my language right now because attainment means something that is not now, but it is there. And in Vyasabhashyam, it is very different. Samadhi here is your very nature. Atma is Samadhi. Atma Swarupam is Samadhi Sthana. But Patanjali uses in a very different context because Patanjali uses Samadhi also, we will see, as Ashtangam is one of these part of the means to attain samadhi. In other words, you use samadhi to attain samadhi. Doesn't make sense, right? But if I say, I got a car, a new car it is, I got a car, but I went by the car to get a car, I can say. Then you will understand that when I used a car, I went somewhere, I got a new car. So I used a car to get a car. So I use samadhi also a part of this abhyasam to get the samadhi. So I'm afraid these words have to have multiple meaning. We need to use it. But here we'll talk about the sadhanam, the attainment, the final state. We start about two things, S1 and S2, I said. Well, Patanjali doesn't say S1, S2. I'm giving you so that you can grasp it much better. The first one is called Sabija Samadhi. Bijam means seed. Sa means together with, good. So Bija means a seeded. So you add the word suffix samadhi. So Sabija Samadhi is one samadhi. Like a tree is abiding inside the seed. I can say, take a seed, a tree is there. Tree is in a samadhi state of a seed. So imagine all my potential I know is in me and I'm holding on to it. And I know that I'm holding on to it. I know that my potency is all there. I am in a state of equilibrium, but I'm conscious of it. I am in a Sabija Samadhi. You will know it now. That must be a Nirbija Samadhi. That means the seed is also not gone there. Just the potency is there. Like a banana. Banana is so special to Naivedyam, to offer to God, because the fruit banana is one of the fruits where you don't have a seed inside. Seedless. Some of these yoga practitioners, who take literally all this thing, and of course with Shraddha, they won't eat any fruit with a bijam in it. Anyway, that's a different story. There are two states. So S1 is Sabijam, S2 is Nirbijam. Sabijam called Savikalpam. Nirbijam called Nirvikalpam. Vikalpam means change. We're going to learn all those things. There's going to be special sudras for this. But Sabijam takes you to Nirbijam. S1 takes to S2. Egagram leads to Ruddham. But again, the great teacher Patanjali won't give you that ambiguous, big theory. He's going to take you to Abhyasam. It's all experimental science. So he's going to now divide this into many states of samadhis. So he calls it Samprajnata Samadhi. You remember Tattvabodha? Prajna, what is Prajna? Consciousness, being aware of. Samprajna, being aware of in the Samadhi. When you are in a state of bliss and you know you are in bliss, it is Samprajna. Who is the you is a very different question. We'll come to that later. You need Vedanta for it. So Sabija Samadhi is same as Samprajna Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi, all the same name. But then he divides this into few things. This is about holding the ego, I just told you. Here the focus will be removing the Rajo and Tamo gunas. To attain the Samprajnata Samadhi, our effort has to be removing the Rajo gunas and Tamo gunas, which means Kshipta state is removed, Mudha state is removed, Vikshipta is operated upon, and we remove the Rajo and Tamo. And it leads to the knowledge. I will stop that one. I won't discuss it now, but I will talk about it later. And this comes from what's called Savitarka. Hold on to the definition. We will learn about it. Then you need to Savichara. Vitarka, Vichara. Vitarkam means with a different object orientation. Vichara means the subtlety of those objects. Then you realize, I don't need to discuss, look at the object or inquire the object. I am in a state of bliss, ananda. Then you get what's called asmita. You beyond the anandam, you will have a little fear of holding on to the I. It's a very subtle point. We'll learn it. Avidya, ananta, asmita, all these terms we will learn. But right now, you just hold on to the thought. The Sabhrankala Samadhi is going to be in 4 stages: Savitarka, Savichara, Ananta, and Asmita. And this is all done by object-oriented contemplation, dhyana, Saguna Brahma Dhyana, focusing on our activity and tamo gunas to reduce. We attain a great knowledge. Opposite, you know it now very quickly. There must be asamprajnana samadhi. That means if you add a aksharam before the thing, it becomes antonym for it. Where there is prajna, samadhi is there, where I lose myself. We say, I just lose myself. That momentariness, when you can extend the momentariness to a prolonged state of affair, you are in a great bliss. Again, you have nirvikara, nirvichara, ananda, asmita. We will learn about all these things in the future. So here it is unattached observation. Here we have sattva control. Sattva control means rajas tamas is already gone, but I have sattva. Control has got 2 aspects. You retain in sattva state all the time. Then you even drop sattva. You beyond gunatitam. You go beyond this sattva guna. Why am I worried about the white screen? I want to go to the light. That is liberation. Therefore, the S1 goal gives you the means to knowledge. S2 gives it means to liberation. The liberation cannot come without the knowledge. Therefore, the S1 leads to S2. Very careful mind of amongst you will think, wait a minute, liberation is from knowledge. Vedanta says, jnanena moksham. Yes, we don't violate this. But to attain the jnanam, you can do a samadhi. Don't I have to go and read books, go after many people, gurus? This is where a great insight comes in. Yes, that is one way of going to many gurus, Shravanam, Mananam. Yes, you can do. But you can also follow the yoga. When you go through this one, you get the jnana. How is it possible? I don't even touch the book. Just by sitting there and controlling the mind, how can I get this jnana? You will not get the jnana. Because if you use the word to get is to obtain, you will not get. Obtaining is getting something that you do not have. That is knowledge. So lack of proper English word, I put this gnosis, wisdom, jnanam, is what you are. Vedanta also does not give you the jnanam. Vedanta gives you the tools to remove ajnanam. When you start removing ajnanam, you are the jnanam that you know it. Here, the same way like you keep on polishing the vessels. So many vessels are there. You're just polishing all the vessels. All the dirt is gone. And suddenly the gold glitters out. You didn't obtain a gold vessel. Gold has come out. So what therefore it means is that, okay, I missed this learning Sanskrit. I missed learning Veda Dhyanam. I missed going to Vedanta class. It is complicated to understand. Don't worry. You have the mind. You are able to sit down. You are able to do abhyasam. You are able to control your qualities of thoughts. This jnana will come to you. But we still abide by the Vedantic wisdom. The jnana, once you got, then the jnana has to be sustained. Jnana nishta has to be there to surpass the gunas. The gunatitam is only one where you transcend the prakriti. You become the purusha. You become the paramatma, moksha. So we will talk about this these four aspects. We don't have time today. How these are different, and we are going to learn this in a big way. But this should be able to give you that we are in the right track. Intensity is fine as long as you have interest to compensate for it. Om Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya.
Asato ma sadgamaya.
Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya.
Mrityo Ma Amrdam Gamaya.
Mrityoma samgamaya.
Om Shanti
Shanti Shanti.
Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.